and almost no lag on the channel. Great, absolutely. Oh God, no, no, that one, no. Right. Greetings, everybody. Hello, once again. Welcome to this week's edition of Metaworld News. This is where we're going to be bringing you the highlights from the metaverse, the world of virtual reality, haptics, and immersive spaces and stuff. Yeah, and all for the week ending the 24th of January of the year 2021.
Oof.
Yes. This is the last show of the January. Well, 11 months to go. Maybe we'll be mask free by that time. Anyway, my
Maybe
name is
so.
Mal Burns. MAL, one word, BURNS, another word. But if you want to find me on Twitter, you're going to find me squashed. They're always squashing me. Twitter.com/MALBURNS, or one word, Malbones. And an additional stream, actually, Twitter.com/Metaworld News. Just like this show. And that's one word too. Squashed. Of course. The web is the medium of squashing.
Hmm.
Indeed. Indeed, indeed. Okay, now, as well as me, I'm joined by James Outloud. Hello, James.
Well, hi, Mel. Great to see you again. This way we
I
get
see.
together during the week. It's wonderful.
Yes, I see you've got your mask on,
I
so I don't
do.
need to worry about your lips moving. But
Oh,
you've
so
got no
healthy.
t-shirts on today.
Yep.
It's a sort of animated square shape on your t-shirt, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, there's a lava lamp in there. Let's see if I can
Ah, that's what
find
it is.
find my way.
I, th- I thought it was. Yeah, it's just the way I'm looking at it. I thought it was a
Right.
Coke bottle or something.
Yep. It's an emissive shirt, and I apologize. I've forgotten who created it, but it's
Oh
uh,
well,
it's one I've worn previously in a show. So.
right. So nothing new about that then. Okay,
Yep.
I've just
Yep.
forgotten it.
Yep.
Hmm.
I've got a good collection of clothing now from our weekly gathering.
Yeah, well, it's an incentive. Is I wish you. My incentive used to be changing hats.
Mm-hmm. Oh
There
yeah.
aren't actually many hats here to choose from, and resizing them to fit and everything is a bit of a nightmare in this
It
platform. But
is.
never
Yeah, it
mind,
can
never
be a
mind.
challenge.
Mm,
Agreed.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will get a new look soon, I guess. I shall endeavour to. I still want to get my mesh avatar in here, actually. But anyway,
Right. Right.
anyway,
Right.
anyway, anyway. And I can go to Wolf 3D and get one, I suppose. Let's see. What was I about to say? Oh, yes. I was going to tell the viewers at home, um, especially if they're watching as opposed to just listening, that you are also twiddling knobs behind the scenes and
Oh
switching from
yes.
one
Yes.
camera view to another,
Yeah.
so that you are bringing the viewers my desktop for one thing,
As I
as
am
well
prone
as
to do. Right.
yes, as well as my avatar. And anything else you might throw in that I can't see on my monitor. Who knows? Who
Who
knows?
knows? If those rabbit holes appear, the graphic may come up.
Oh, yes, yes. Now, those I can't see, although
No.
these days
No.
I probably could see. If I could be able to turn around, I could probably
Oh
see them.
right.
But
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I don't look back at my head when I'm talking as a rule. I'm looking at my monitor. Right, my news monitor, that is. Okay, well, I've been very conscious of the fact that last week we had went on for over 3 hours, and I thought it was going to be a short show. So I've been a bit more, how shall I say, economical with the links this week.
Mm.
You can still go to twitter.com/Malbones to find a whole load of them, and twitter.com Metaworld News for a load of other ones. Indeed, you can go to twitter.com/Malbones_writer for even more, but there's Second Life arts and destinations, really. Um, but I've decided to be picky and just choose the links that I think are, definitely worthy of pointing out. Which means that just because another new medical research document says VR is good for health, I'm not going to. I might have tweeted it, but I'm not going to put it up on this show because we've heard it all before.
Right.
You get the idea. Okay, but and also this week I've only got one pretty picture for you,
Ah,
so James can show you that now.
oh
That's rather
yes.
topical for what we do, really,
Yeah, it
isn't it?
is. Yeah, nice.
It's cables and head and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, I'm going to gently bring forward the link we always start with,
You.
along with my favourite goggles of last week. Oh, of course. that, that was quite quiet this week. I wasn't expecting it. The
Oh,
ghost was
okay.
howling. There was a howling going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a whole lot of howling going on. Was that? Never mind. Sounds like an old rock and roll song, doesn't it?
It does.
Oh no, whole lot of shaking going on.
Oh,
Right.
right,
Okay. Well,
right.
I just paraphrase it. Whole lot of howling going on. Or well, maybe it was coming from the hound dog. Um, the hound dog in the honky tonk was
Mm-hmm.
howling,
You
something
ain't
like that.
nothing but.
Right. Now the reason for the howl is because our little howl here is that this site is called scarredghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. And every Monday, almost without fail, and when he does fail, it's on a Tuesday, um, Scarred Ghost deliver the XR Week Peak, which basically XR is including MR and VR and AR. And if you don't know what those are by now, go Google them. Right. Well, there's no way of looking at it. XR, MR, AR. You know what, James?
I do.
Surely
We. We
we
are.
are. Yes. Better World News. We are the Everything R's. Okay. Right, let me start then. So, yeah, I mentioned these goggles, as it were, last week. I quite like them. They're not quite as goggly and round looking at other angles that they are there. I think style-wise, I would prefer something a bit less steampunky, but certainly in terms of manageability, and I wouldn't be averse to actually putting a pair of those on. Put it another way. Anyway, he did a bit of a roundup of everything at CES, which of course wasn't last week; it was the week before last, which is the area this covers. Um, a lot of people noted that there wasn't a huge amount at CES this year because, of course, it's exhibition-wise, you can't really do much virtually. When you're trying to exhibit, toys for people to have at home, and CES, of course, is consumer electronics show. But there were some things news-wise. Um, things on the obligatory things on their platform,
Mm-hmm.
and rather too much about it really. Um, yeah, there've been quite a few people talking from that source in the week. John Carmack saying that their goal is to release a new software update for the Quest headset every month. It's just like Windows, isn't it? No sooner have you downloaded something and got it working properly, then they give you another one that will probably break everything you've
Mm-hmm.
done. Anyway,
They are coming out
um,
with some good features, though. I have to say the things
yeah.
they're improving. They've come out now with profiles, multiple user profiles on the Quest, which many
Oh,
people
I
are
heard that.
asking for, so that you can share and have different users on the same device.
So you can
That's
have one quest for the whole family, kind of thing.
exactly right. Yep, very helpful.
I have the Facebook Portal thing, which is a moving video camera, which
Mm-hmm.
has got an HDMI socket on my TV. I don't really use it because it means turning off whatever I'm watching to use it.
Right.
But I quite
Right.
like the way the camera follows you around the room. But again, that's the sort of thing that's got multiple. When you launch it up, it logs you in as whoever you are, but you can switch accounts quite easily. So again, being a TV kind of interface, they've obviously considered, it's a family use kind of thing. Anyway, sorry, drowning the last of my coffee there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, so a few links at this site too about from interviews and stuff that have been online. Um, yeah, news worth a mention. Here we are. Quest 2 has multi-user feature, which James has just
All right. Yeah.
mentioned. Um, Rokid have announced more augmented reality glasses, Chinese manufacturer. These ones are, well, they're not illustrated here, but I quite like those. Um, and various leaks and stuff like that. Um, okay. Yeah, so I'm not going to linger here. I'm going to move on. So that now, why on earth did that happen? I wonder. Okay. So when I click something like that, it's overriding my tab. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, this is a post at cnet. .com, cnet.com, and it's all about controlling virtuality with your mind. This is not new news or anything. We covered this before,
Hmm.
but it was, it's quite an interesting review about the Next Mind development kit, showing the author a strange new world, and he's been 2 weeks living with a neural interface. Has been a trip, man. Yes, it has indeed. Far out, really cool. Yes, a trip, man. Yeah. Okay, the next mind band, or what it looks like from the side that rests against the back of your head. So those bits are there to get entangled in your hair, and so are those, I guess. It goes on the back of your head. Oh, you know what it's like when you got funny hair and you take a comb to it and you suddenly it gets stuck and you start pulling
Yeah.
and you think your hair's coming out.
Hmm.
Well, that looks like it's inviting that kind of trouble, but we'll see.
Surely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's he seems to be kind of happy this. It felt like I was living in some sort of real world virtual version of the David Cronenberg film Scanners. But in reality, it was Next Mind's thingy.
Hmm.
And oh yeah, well, we got a clip on this later. I think it's the same company. Another Mundra. They're making a wristband for the Apple Watch. Those of you who have Apple products probably know there's an Apple Watch. And I know with Android you can get little watches and things, fitness things, and do smart watches these days. But the Apple Watch, if you have an iPhone, an iPad, and even a Mac, is highly integrated with all these other things. Too much so in some ways. I received a call on my mobile number about 90 minutes before this show. It was buzzing my watch, it was ringing on my mobile phone, and it was ringing on my desktop, which is actually where I wanted to answer it.
Oh man. Yep.
But I was getting an echo from two other iPads lying around the house as well. Once it's set up, it just rings on everything, unless you know, you I think there's a setting that says like ring on other devices, but you can put that on to get it to ring elsewhere. But I don't think you can. It's not like Spotify where you can actually control exactly which speakers are ringing. You can have all or one or the other. But anyway, I'm rabbit holing again. That's Mundra. Um, CTRL Labs is a neurotechnology company. Oh, guess what? Acquired by Facebook. Right. So they're in everywhere. That company. Anyway, go to cnet.com to find all about NextMind's dev kit. It's quite an interesting review. It mentions the obligatory companies, but it's an independent review, so can't really fault it for that, can we? Right, so open a new tab. This should probably do what I want. At least I hope it does. There we are. Right. Now, if you like drawing, like VR Rosie and various people who like painting in VR, Tilt Brush has been the kind of place to go. The app, to basically sit there in your headset or stand there in your headset and actually paint in 3D like you would in the real world. And you can either paint onto a surface, so it's just like being an artist in the real world, or you can paint into thin air, which obviously gives you a more dimensional possibilities, should we say. Anyway, there's going to be a Tilt Brush Art Festival and tournament taking place here in London next month. Um, And let's see. It's the Reality Centre in London, and it's the UK leg of the Global Tilt Brush and Art Festival and Tournament. And there's a bit of PR for it. Well, the nice image. I don't know about the signature. Um, anyway, yeah, there'll be a live DJ broadcasting via Twitch as well. I think it's 45 minutes each for each session with the artists, and the VR is powered by Tribe XR, which is you can sort of see there. You can see it better without me highlighting it, really, can't you? Um, Anyway, and a bit more illustration there too. So this is on Thursday, 13th of February at the Reality Centre,
February
and it'd be
13th.
for
Cool. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, Thursday, not Friday. Yeah, so yeah, from 12 p.m. that's noon to 9 at night. That of course is British time as well, and you can get event details from Eventbrite and VR Focus. So if you want more on that, you'll find that direct link to that page on my Twitter feed. Or you can go to the site where it is, which is vrfocus.com, vrfocus.com, and that post is in there somewhere. All right, moving. Oh, God. Show you my desktop all the while. Okay, this one's quite an interesting one. This is a blog by Webaverse. Now, this will be of interest to, this really should be a Metaworld News' feed. Um, this is all about virtual reality on the web. You know, we have things like Mozilla Hubs and a whole lot of other ones I can't remember. And this is one of some people who are trying to build what they call the Webaverse, and they're talking about their procedure really. Avatars coming first, um, and avatars work like Facebook. Why does that company have to get named everywhere? It doesn't even belong in this article.
yeah,
Right.
market saturation.
I know.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, the Japanese VR community has figured out interoperable avatars, and it's the VRM standard.
Hmm.
They're an extension of the widely supported GLTF2 standard and can work between Blender, Unity, VR Chat, Neos VR, Craftopia, and many other games. Um, After experimenting with avatar interoperability, they have to make it work on the web. Um, then they talk about NFTs, which I know, even I now know, stands for non-fungible tokens.
Hey.
This is all the Bitcoiny type stuff, really. These are the ingredients of the metaverse because apparently the NFTs, of course, include the digital objects as well as digital property rights and stuff in your inventory, plus your money, of course. Don't forget that. They don't mention that, but I guess I guess that's taken for granted. And yeah, anyway, and then they talk about the Ethereum blockchain and what if the metaverse was made out of NFTs you could use? I bloody well hope they are. Why, otherwise, why would you have them? Yeah, that's a bit different. Anyway, and then they go on about their place. This is called the street. Um, it's the next step from scrolling a 2D page to strolling through CD cyberspace. The street threads the needle between all these worlds and inspired by the trees in the original metaverse. Anyway, if you're interested in things like virtual worlds on the web, in other words, it will work from your browser, then this is something that might well interest you. As you can see, there's quite a lot of chat here, and they also have a link at the bottom here to a Discord channel. They're actually using the Discord channel for meetings, neighborhoods, parcels. Yeah, they seem to be using the Discord channel more than the actual world, as
Hmm.
it were.
Hmm.
And if you want a wallet, you can, a Bitcoiny type wallet for Ethereum. You can get one simply by through the Discord channel as well. Anybody who joins on Discord does get a wallet. So and they say that Non-fungible tokens are fast and free to trade because they use Ethereum sidechain. Anyway, um, you can withdraw your NFTs into MetaMask or OpenSea for the price of gas. What's the price of gas? I
I,
don't know. Right.
you lost me there.
Yeah, exactly. What type of gas for that matter? Right, okay. Oh dear. Okay, well, let's move on to my next thing. Okay, one of two voices of VR this week. Not much to see here, but to announce. Um, the Sundance New Frontier 2021 sneak peek and virtual film parties and gathering. Because Sundance's New Frontier has 14 immersive experience that's going to be accessible starting Friday 29th through to Wednesday, February the 3rd. The New Frontier site will be hosting virtual premiere parties on the Film Party platform featuring 6 films at a time within a 3-hour window, etc., etc. And the Sundance Explorer cast will cost you $25 US. Um, the full schedule you can be seen in the film party environment, but as it says here, you can also download a PDF of the schedule. And basically, they talk to somebody at Sundance, basically, about what's being shown. And this, of course, is Kent by Voices of VR. There's no proscenium podcast too. I think I've got that coming up later separately. Um, yeah. So obviously the focus here is audio. You can probably get voice. Well, I'm sure some of you get Voices of VR through a podcast platform or anything else like that. But if not, you can go to this site and follow the links and also play the podcast from this site. So the site you want is, well, no surprise here, voicesofvr.com, VOICESOFVR.com. And there's another of them coming up later. So, yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Okay, now we've got 2 in a row coming up from that howling place. Number 1, right, is one of his epic blogs, of course. What else? His predictions for augmented reality in 2021. And as you can see, right, okay, I said there's a lot of media on this page. Whether it's showing up in this view, I don't know, but it's a kind of his blogs are just so long. Um, even got smartphone AR there, TikTok. Um, I mean, this isn't strictly speaking VR, but there's such an overlap between AR and VR. It's probably worth the read. Um, um, no comment, and Apple will jumpstart the smart glasses ecosystem. That may be a bit out of date. In fact, I'm going. Well, hang on. Let me leave that there for a second. Um, yeah, some of these are actually older videos that he's just included in the article. So basically, this is his roundup of um, a where are we? Predictions for augmented reality in 2021. I'm just going to, before I come to the other post from him, I'm just going to jump down 2 things here. A lot of you will be saying, hey, didn't you notice this stuff all over in every site and blog and everything all week about Apple's VR headset? And I did. And the reason I haven't tweeted any of it, honestly, is, well, the proof of the pudding is here at techcrunch.com. When I decided to tweet this, and I deliberately put an emphasis on the word might, because I tweet news, not rumor. It's as simple as that. Now, I know every site under the sun has written a blog this week about Apple's VR plans and how it's going to be very expensive and it will be out in 2022. There is no indication anywhere that this is fact. I'm sorry. TechCrunch here at least were polite enough to say they might be working on a VR headset, and this is still the case. We all know how secretive Apple are. I'm not going to spam my readers with links to a thing purporting to be about a very expensive Apple VR headset that will maybe be out next year. We'll find out when we find out. What is of interest, although not this week, is when we come across filings Apple have made, for trademarks and things like that. And also, given the fact that we're pretty sure they are working on, they're going to be announcing something like AR glasses for AR, not VR, at some point this week. If there was any truth to this rumor mill, it would surprise me greatly because Apple, I would have almost certainly thought Apple would have come out with some kind of headset that plugged into their iPhone or iPads or even their desktop rather than a standalone thing, which this news purports to be. And also, the funniest thing I found about this that made it even less plausible for me is that one of the reviews said that, unlike normal for Apple, this headset will actually include a fan because the
Ooh.
processor's inside the headset and obviously a fan to keep it cool. And I thought, look, we've got these bloody great helmets, and we're hopefully coming down to the size of glasses or goggles or whatever. Can you imagine wearing a helmet that's got a fan in it? And that is not a fan to keep your head cool; it's a fan to keep the the processor cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And apparently, the processor is going to be the next gen M1. In other words, the super one that's in the new um, 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 iMac and no MacBook and Mac Mini. But it's going to be a more advanced way of that, and they've been hailing these processors not needing any fan. So the more I was reading about this sort of Apple rumor mill, the more I thought this isn't Apple. Somebody's making this up, and it's like the political echo chamber. Somebody says something, and without thinking, every other news site reposts their interpretation of what they read. And nobody actually seems to have checked. We know what their trademarks are. We know sort of where they're going, but there's no real indication at all, other than a supposed leak from somebody at Apple that they're actually working on a VR headset, as we would call it. So anyway, forget the rumor mill. I posted this in the end because I was able to retitle it I was able to emphasize the word might, basically, because I was getting fed up and I was like, I better send something up. And in fact, there's practically nothing here. It just says there's a pricey Apple VR headset in the works, and then it's talking about all sorts of other things too. Something else I haven't included this week because I've tried to avoid mentioning the company if I can is Facebook, of course. They've actually created an oversight board, which is uh, reviewing their own policies, and they've hired somebody consequential, as it were, to run the oversight board. But I mean, it's like it's like police complaints division and things, isn't it? The oversight or the investigation people are actually just in a division of the perpetrators of whatever it is. I'm not saying there's anything to be perpetrated, but you get the idea. In Britain here, and in Europe, in fact, which we're not anymore, there are actually independent bodies, examining what the hell Facebook and Google, for that matter, are up to. Um, not a body that's actually the Facebook self-supervisory oversight group. Come on. Anyway, I'll put that away because there's not really much to that. But I did want to put that up for you just to so that I could have my little say on there. So moving back to Scar Ghost, actually, this is the post after the one we've just looked. No, it isn't. It's the post before. As well as his predictions for augmented reality, we have his predictions for virtual reality. Cue the roar. And yeah, God, we should wait for Halloween, really, shouldn't we? But never mind. Okay. Um, as he says, nobody made the correct predictions last year, especially the global pandemic changed the rules for everything, etc. But he's having a look ahead. 21 won't be the year of VR. He reckons. At least he doesn't think it will. Um, the ecosystem's not ready yet. We only have one vendor that has some kind of mainstream appeal. Guess who that is? And the rest of the market is all focused on the enterprise. Um, the unknown company is strong, but carrying all the market on its shoulders is hard. VR technology is still in its infancy, despite the Quest 2. It's still an uncomfortable shoebox in your face. Yeah, exactly. VR is mostly just games or enterprise application. It misses all the sets of utilities that have made the PC and smartphones so widespread. Email, social media, etc. People still don't understand the value provided by VR, um, which I guess is partly down to PR, but also the old adage here further down here: VR needs to be tried to be understood, and for that matter, sold. So having recording VR and putting it on YouTube is no help at all. People just don't get it. A lot of people really don't get even social worlds like Sansar here or Second Life or any of those or on a flat screen because it's always been the case that you really need to be in there to a while until it clicks and you realize that you're surrounded by other people and you've got communication, collaboration, etc. Um, and some people get it pretty quickly. Other people really take a while before it sort of clicks. But you can't really know it until you've tried it, and VR even more so because VR is now referring not to immersive worlds and virtual worlds, but to virtual reality, i.e., the hardware, the headsets. And until you actually stand up or preferably sit in an actual third dimensional environment, you really don't understand how transportive it is and how fully immersive it is. Um, and you really need to try to know it. So, until people are really getting familiar with it, takeout's going to be slow. But also, if you um, if you actually insist on people putting these headsets on their heads and stuff like that, I mean, I think this uptake's going to be slower because people, I don't want to sit around with that on my head. That said, there was another tweet in my feed this week from an old people's home here in care home or something here in the north of England, and raving about how all the seniors are being brought back to life by wearing headsets or going into VR. And it was actually quite a nice photograph of the staff, the nurses, along with the bit where they keep all the medicines. They got another little rack, that's got stacked up headsets on it.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah.
they go in their wheelchair and they go up to the shelf and they pull out their headset and plug themselves in. And I actually think that's quite cute because to be honest, if I was stuck in a wheelchair and couldn't walk around, I probably wouldn't be affected so much by the weight of a headset. It wouldn't be pulling down. It would probably still be pulling me down uncomfortably a bit, but not as if I was standing or it was weighing down my whole body. But again, these things will change and they'll get lighter and everything else. So yeah, okay, no danger of the rabbit hole I sense here, so let me move
Hmm.
on. Anyway, so yeah, scarredghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. And this is all his projections for VR in the coming year. He reckons Quest will still be leading the way in the absence of anything else. But again, it's all speculation, looking at everything. And oh, I don't remember seeing that when I looked at this. Yeah, a slap in the Facebook. Facebook proves Rift, their sole purpose was to embarrass themselves. I
Made to
don't
look
like
like the
that.
Daily News. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the Rift. Yeah, there's another one about that orange hair character on the British newspaper here saying it was all a dream. And, it didn't really happen. It couldn't have happened.
Hmm.
Oh, it's funny how people's views change overnight, um, when they think it's safe to change. Yeah, as you can see, whole load of stuff here. So good, good thorough reading, but also embedded links. So that you can new concert there, Madison Beer. Well, nothing spectacular there, I've got to admit. Yeah, you can see that I'm going to keep on scrolling, and I'm probably going to be here for the whole show if I'm not
Right.
careful.
Right.
So, ScottGhost.com is the one you want for that. Predictions for virtual reality in 2021. Um, yeah, very tempting, isn't it? China will try and change gear. Yeah. There's too much to read there, but I mean, do read it if you see what I mean. Right, moving on down, moving on down. This has got a lot of retweets, actually, so brought this one up. It's a new app that enables visitors to socialize in virtual museum tours. And you'll find this article at the Museums Association site, which is MUSEUMSASSOCIATION.org. Museums Association, all one word.org. And yeah, avatars, headsets, and worlds are no longer the preserved video games since the start of lockdown, etc., etc., etc. They've been helping cultural institutions connect with audiences. So this one is an app. It's actually called Curators, and it's spelled Curators, as in tours and curator. Get it? Get it?
Hmm. Hmm.
Part funded by the UK government and developed by Cooperation Innovations, basically. And the whole idea is to provide a different way of engaging with content of museums and galleries. The emphasis here is it's an app. It's not just an app for a particular platform or a particular gallery. The idea is you'll be able to go into it and choose a museum that maybe you can't go to because it's in lockdown and go to the virtual version of it. Um, there are similar things online, like um, no, it's not called Without Walls. Forget it. It's still going. There's a virtual world where you can post your artwork and things, and it all hangs on walls in a virtual gallery, and you can teleport to other people's galleries. It's a bit like a open sim for simply art galleries.
Hmm.
You upload your own work and put it in your gallery, and you can have portals to your friends' galleries or to galleries, run by artists you admire and stuff like that. It's all the facets of the virtual world that doesn't go beyond lots of galleries. And I think ultimately they're going for here is a kind of massive virtual world full of museums. Probably no mention of anything else. The idea is that you download this app and the culture hound in you can sit around in lockdown, going and visiting all the galleries you can't go to in the real world. So good idea. And as I said, it's got retweeted quite a few times. So obviously, quite a few people are interested in that particular venture. Right. Okay, Dean Beats. This is Dean, what's his name, at venturebeat.com. So the site you want here is venturebeat.com, VENTUREBEAT.com. And this article is called What Ready Player 2 Tells Us About the Metaverse. Well, arguably Ready Player One told us a lot about the metaverse. So I'm not sure. Well, actually, I better shut up here. I haven't actually fully read Ready Player Two, other than
No.
some
No.
extracts
No.
as yet. But from what I gather, it's more concerned with AR, and it, it's not the ultimate sort of VR thing that Ready Player One was. But you've got the sequel novel and. Ready Player 2 came out in December. Critics panned it, and basically, he understands the sequel isn't nearly as innovative as the first book. But amid the bleak reality of the pandemic, he enjoyed reading how envisaged the evolution of technology and the eventual creation of the metaverse or the oasis, etc., etc. So anyway, so there, this is really a review, and sort of makes comparisons with what we've got already, so to speak. And yeah, quite a lot to read there if you like reading and reviews of stuff. That could almost be on the science fiction literature site, but it's actually Adventure Beat. Okay, moving on down. One VR Studio is using Quest to highlight discrimination and exclusion at work. And this is another UK-based studio called Make Real. And the idea is to give you a first-hand experience of discrimination and exclusion in the workplace. Now, I'm not sure. I posted this a couple of places. I'm not actually sure whether we included it last week. This particular post is
Right,
more
right.
recent than last week, but it might have been somewhere else too. Anyway, it's got like a trailer about diversity training. It's fairly rudimentary, but it's all good to see this stuff happening, even if it's taken a while to load. There we are. Um, After the VR experience, the app
Welcome to this
reveals.
diversity and inclusion experience. You're about to see the world through another person's eyes. Who are you? You'll move across the office to get to your next meeting on time. As you go, think about other people's reaction to you and whether that gives you a sense of who you are.
You're here. We've had a meeting about the Rocks project. Sorry, I know you were really keen to stay close to it, but I assumed you were working from home again, and Sandeep had some great ideas that we were all really keen to discuss.
It goes on like that a bit. Built with low-cost technologies, the experience is an effective way of bringing more traditional training materials to a new era, and the personal touch that it affords you to better relate to the issues the app raises. And the company wants to explore ways to enhance the current key issues of soft skills training after seeing success in other VR training services. So there you go. This one's called Make Real, and a little bit to read there. I do not see any Earl, but there might be on the actual web page because remember we're viewing this on in a sort of reader display. Okay, so that post itself is at uploadvr.com. So uploadvr.com for that post. Right, now I said the no proscenium or whatever you call them. They had a podcast this week too. They're up to 280 actually. I mean, lots of theirs aren't actually strictly speaking VR, XR, or whatever. But this one is on XR Live Theatre and VR, and it's actually a part two. I think the part one was quite a few weeks ago, and there's going to be a third part too. But all three of them, concerned with theatre and VR. And yeah, it's much to it. The only reason for giving you this link really is that you can get a glimpse of what's happening in the podcast. The podcast, I forget how long it was. It's not exactly short. There's a link to the first one too, of course. Um, but they break it up into different segments. So the host in one segment changes as they move to the second segment and things. So I suppose it brightens it up a bit. It's not all the same people talking at once, kind of thing. Right, so you find this link at noproscenium. Right, I'm going to yeah, love it. Right, noproscenium dot libsyn.com. So noproscenium dot libsyn.com. And if that went a bit quick for you, you can check out the link on my feed at twitter.com/malbones if you don't already follow me on Twitter, of course. All right, moving on. I mentioned earlier that we had a post about Sundance. All you need is $25 and an internet connection. Well, this is more about the same event. This time, however, it's at a site we know and love, and we've got an engine that goes with it. just proving that it's not a duplicate of the other article.
That's right.
Right. So this actually says how to. I thought this was pertinent because it's not just saying Sundance is happening and it's in VR and everything else. This actually says how to socialize at Sundance, which is a nice
Hmm.
approach to it. The main street goes dormant. The festival unfolding primarily as a virtual affair. Blah blah blah. And create a digital avatar roam the different 3D environments. Your face will appear as a small video chat window whenever you approach another person. This is quite interesting. It's not there are a number of worlds that allow you to put your photograph on your face of your avatar. Um, but this one I think is actually it takes an image from your cameras, like a video chat. So when you meet somebody, your avatars talk, but you look at each other's face and you see each other's webcam. Um, and of course, being a film festival, I mean, sort of maybe people's webcams will be so intriguing that nobody remembers to watch the films. It is a known fact that since the lockdown, sort of, people, a lot of people on Zoom and stuff like that have really made an art of studying people's environments. People who don't use a green screen or an artificial background. There's seen famous people on their home cameras and looking at what's on their bookshelf or lying on their beds because frequently there's a bed in the background. It seems to be quite a thing actually. Anyway, yes. So you'll find this at vroom.buzz. We gave you the sound effect, but I didn't bother spelling it, did I? VRROOM.BUZZ. No .com series, just .buzz. And according to this, it's not secure, but I keep getting that message from all sorts of places, so I'm sure it's perfectly good for me. And there's a bit of an example. That's clearly not a webcam picture, but I think that's a default sort of your avatar looks something like that, and that bit will be your webcam in a sort of circular head. Um, and a bit more of an actual scene from inside the festival, and yeah, whole load of stuff. Um, I like the way it says "go clubbing in Amsterdam." Amsterdam, of course, being in the news the last couple of days because it's gone into not just lockdown; they're now in curfew.
Yeah.
Being made, well, we've actually had problems in London with the same thing. People think, oh, that's an excuse to party.
Right. Right.
Here you're getting fined. I think it's £300 a time if you get caught going to one, and if you get caught organising one, you're fined many thousands of pounds. So the trouble is, some of them still go ahead as if they, um, you know. Um, there was one place that I don't know, they boarded it up and so there were no lights sort of showing. So the idea was that it was all happening and nobody could actually see it, which was true. But obviously they might not have been able to see it, but they sure as hell heard it. Duh.
Oh. Okay.
So yeah, the sound side of it is not as easy to disguise, shall we say? Anyway, back to that. Anyway, this is Sundance, and the VRROOM.BUZZ is where you'll find that. Same site again, so James can rev the engine if he wants. Got more grouped together this week in some cases, which is good. Right, they've also got an article about 11 tools for painting, sculpting, and animating in VR. They had a second post with almost the same title and almost the same content. So I'm only going to, you can go to vroom.buzz and find both of them, but I'm only doing one here because there doesn't seem to be much point in the other one. But basically, they've done a quick breakdown of creative tools you can find. We mentioned Tilt Brush earlier as a major sort of used in VR art thing. We've got Dreams, Quill, Medium, Kingspray, Graffiti, Gravity Sketch, Tivoli, not to be confused with Tivoli, Anim VR, Blocks, Sculpt VR, and Masterpiece VR. And the tick means the platform it's on. PC, Quest, or PlayStation, and the features it has: drawing, modeling, and animation. Not to confuse Medium with the blog site where people post articles. This is strictly um, a VR creative toy, shall we say. And then we just go down here. As you can see, they look at Tilt Brush first, then they have a look at Dreams. I'm not going to play any of these because, as you probably know, when I start doing that, we're here all day.
Mm.
But yeah, a good selection of videos you can click on there and watch. And of course, you can play all these while you're on the website there without going to YouTube or whatever, which makes life somewhat easy. Although I don't know about you, but when I play videos on the website, and like I'll play that one, and I'll forget to pause it or stop it, and I'll get to this one and start playing it. And before I know it, I've got the soundtrack of about 5 different videos
Hmm.
playing on the
Yep.
web page. So you need to be careful on that front. Masterpiece VR, this one looks rather, that's nice, I must admit. Um, Easiest, most natural way to quickly create 3D content, sculpt and draw using intuitive dynamic tools, etc., etc. So whether it's not clear to me whether any of these actually allow you to take what you've done with them and export them elsewhere. I think Tilt Brush does, but I'm not sure about the other ones. For example, I mean, looking at that last one just then, right, which I think looks wonderful, just my cup of tea. Would I better export that scene, for example, and bring it into Sansar or into Sciencebase or wherever? I will have a look at that one. I'm intrigued. Seeing the still picture before you play that sort of is very seductive. It's a bit more simple when you actually play it. I've remembered
Hmm.
it now.
Hmm.
But basically, that one, it looks good, but are you immersive yourself? You can collaborate with colleagues, friends, or you can use it as a teaching medium in real time in the same virtual space. Perform and engage with others using advanced mixed reality and room camera features. So um, that could be interesting. This is interesting too. It's got links to Anna Dream Brush and or Rosie Summers, who's everywhere anyway. Actually, she's British, but yeah. Okay, so you'll find that at VRROOM.BUZZ. And moving on to the next one, I said we had another one. This is another Voices of VR, two in the week here. And it's a VR industry defector. Naughty person. Reflects on Google, Alchemy Labs, game dev culture, stagnation of innovation, and toxic positivity. What's toxic positive? Oh, yeah, actually, I know what they mean. I do know what they mean. It sounds funny, but yeah. Um, Positivity for the sake of it, I think, is what the implication there is. Yeah. Anyway, this January 14th, this guy Fox Buchel was fired by Alchemy Labs. Alchemy, not alchemy, by the way. And I'm sharing this now because I'm done with the industry and I don't want to see myself coming back. And you said being a VR developer was hard, thankless work made worse by toxic business first development cycles, authoritarian trickle down management and design, and a general lack of respect for the grunts in the trenches. Oh dear, you'd think he was talking about Facebook.
Hmm.
Yeah, it looks like Alchemy Labs are a mini. Oh, never mind, never mind. I better not say anything that get me into trouble. Um, Anyway, basically all this happened because it was purchased in 2017 by Google, and basically the whole work culture of the place and VR Town. Fox's time at Alchemy House also mirrored the time in which Donald Trump was president. Well, do we need to know that? Anyway, listen to the Voices of podcast, because obviously that's just a summary about the guy who's being interviewed there. Slightly more pessimistic, I suppose, but worthy of a listen. Okay, talking of people talking, the co-founder of Pixar. You've probably heard of Pixar. There's a wonderful, well, you've probably also heard of a wonderful movie that came out at Christmas called Soul from Pixar, which is very much an adult and really emotional sort of animated ride through sort of jazz and soul and finding oneself. And I can't really explain it, to be honest. Anyway, um, basically, the Ed Catmull, who's the co-founder and former president of no, Pixar co-founder and former president of Disney Animation. And they talked about storytelling, virtual reality, and personal responsibility, and how the universe intervenes. Very interesting indeed. And so as you can see, they go into it quite a lot. And Pixar, I mean, there's that's a still from Soul actually. That's really great watch. If you're into jazz and stuff like that, oh, oh God, I can't. I watched in the week another uh, one about a early blues singer who's somebody's bottom. I can't remember the name. Never mind. I should stop talking, shouldn't I? Anyway, fascinating interview here. So you'll find this as the last one at room.buzz. So VRROOM.BUZZ. And yeah. Okay. Also, finally, at the same site, although actually I'm now moving into the links on the Metaworld Twitter stream,
Yeah.
but I'm jumping down two here because it's another one at Room. So go, James, fire.
Fire me
Yes,
up.
okay.
All right.
And this is actually specific. So it went to the Metaworld News Channel, but this is 2021's best social VR platforms from 2D and spatial audio and 3D real-time rich media, blah, blah, blah. Interactive collaboration is moving faster than we can zoom. Now, somebody had to come up with that expression, didn't they? Faster than we can zoom. Yeah. Anyway, if you follow Twitter, Philip Rosedale has been tweeting a few things. He's working on two very long articles that he's going to be posting, and really firing into Zoom and these things that are claiming to be virtual collaboration things, which actually, they're just glorifying video chats and time sinks in a way. But they also don't sort of work because people don't like staring at other people's. Well, anyway, there's a whole load of things to get do with it. Anyway, this is VRROOM.BUZZ again. And they talk about hundreds of platforms for bringing people together, whether you want fun or building something together, etc., etc. Immersive workspaces, they might be called. And again, this is another rundown of what's out there, which, I mean, many of you out there will be into Sansar here, or into OpenSim, or even into Second Life, the old granddaddy, or maybe VR chat, or maybe Altspace VR or something. But there really are masses of things out there. Even this barely covers it. But it looks to it's that's more about the devices. So spatial IO, one they look at there, Engage VR, Mozilla Hubs. This is becoming quite well known now. It's one of the major success stories of the lockdown era, really. Virtual events. Shame about the avatars, but quite a good educational platform actually. And V fairs, virtual fairs, and shows of all sizes. Um, are those I don't actually know what picture I'm looking at here. Um, it looks like fully fledged avatars and booze and something like you might find in OpenSim, Second Life, or even yeah. It's not clear what that is, or that could be just a simulation with real. I don't know, but anyway, you've got the links to find out about stuff, fee fairs. Another one called InExpo here. Um, Virtual events for smaller gatherings. This is Mozilla Hubs again, Altspace VR. So some of these are familiar. Oh, and yeah, the Dreamland Xr events, which this was confusing me in the last week. There were several posts about Dreamland, and the indication seemed to be that it was another platform, but in fact, Dreamland XR is simply an events location in Altspace VR. And oh yeah, spatial audio and collaborative experience zones. So you've got Topia here. You've got the new version, Philip's new version of High Fidelity here, which gets a nice little play. And that was also featured this week on Product Hunt. I think it was last week I showed a picture where High Fidelity's new audio platform was made into a floor and then angled, and there was an actual good old-fashioned virtual reality layer with avatars on top of it. So the floor was the soundscape, was generating where the sound was because that was high fidelity, but there was a 3D layer on top of it which wasn't high fidelity, if you see, but was controlling avatars and syncing them to the same positions they were moving on the floor. If that makes any sense, I think you see it to believe it. I think, right. Anyway, yeah. So they're building a lot more into high fidelity now, even though it's still that flat mat with spatialized audio. So it's getting quite a lot of PR. And as I say, it was shortlisted by Product Hunt, as it's called this week. All right. The Wild. This is more architecture. Iris VR. Spatial IO. What we got? A-Frame. Nowhere. Never heard that one before. Mixes video streaming and A-Frame combined. So you got A-Frame there, which is like a web Mozilla Hubs type environment. Then you've got the video bit, which is the streaming, and video and streaming is the same thing there. I think really. Another shot from there. Sylvian Soul K. Oh, that's a performer inside nowhere. And here we are, where we are, if you see what I mean.
What?
Sansar.
What place is that?
Yes. Yeah, where's that?
What is that place?
What is that place? We don't know, do we?
We don't know.
We're here. We're here. Sansar. Social virtuals for events and experience communities. Sansar grew out of Second Life, blah, blah, blah. And tools and tool work well for performances up to 100 people with some broadcast and streaming capacities, along with advanced tools for machinima, capturing camera angles in well for broadcast, etc., etc. And yep, they've even managed to include an advert for something on hang on. No, that's gone. Yeah, we're 24th now. Sorry. And yeah, another Lovecraft Country, of course, was a big thing, and VR chat. SciSpace, also mentioned here. I think, I'm just taking a guess, but does that character look vaguely familiar? Or is it David Lynch? I don't know. It's in a foreign language.
It says
Anyway,
David Lynch. Yeah.
Yeah, David Lynch, the filmmaker, is in SciSpace, and I think that's actually his avatar. But it's for a moment, it reminded me of them. Best forgotten, I think. Right.
Agreed.
Anyway, there was a Guanto International Film Festival last year where David Lynch spoke, etc. as well. Sciencebase also boasts the highest current capacity for any virtual event, but remember that well, it says in a single server, but I wonder if whoever wrote this is taking into account that Sciencebase do use sharding. And I mean, allegedly, Sansar here can handle 100 avatars without sharding. I don't know whether. Anyway, read about it.
You read all
Contact
about
the
it.
people if you need to. Yeah. Yeah. Playable. Yeah. Rec room. In Dreams is another one. Horizon, which is unfortunately owned by somebody we don't speak about. Open Web, Future XR Open Metaverses. So Webiverse, which we mentioned earlier, and Mediaverse Lounge, which is that's inside Hubs anyway. Mozilla Hubs, playability. I don't know. So, the author, by the way, says he offers a weekly workshop on Zoom. Whether that's a drop-in event or a paid event workshop, I don't know. A lot of people, obviously, these days are trying to make their money out of being, having sessions and things on Zoom instead of the real world. So it would be nice if they gave more indication as to whether it's a paid class of some sort or not. Okay. So that again is VRROOM.BUZZ room.buzz, and with that I can move back up. Again, we're on links that you'll find at twitter.com/metaworldnews. And another one of our favorite platforms, friends of ours, is Tivoli. Tivoli Cloud VR is actually modeled, derived from the original 3D high fidelity, and allowing 300 plus avatars in one space. Tivoli facilitates collaboration, education, conferencing on a global scale. And they did actually do quite a few events recently. They're unlike Sansar, Second Life, OpenSim, and all the others. Many of the events that are use Tivoli don't necessarily publicize themselves outside their own audience, if you see what I mean. So a college or classroom or something would not be tweeting, "Come and join the class." However, recently there was an event called VR Days here, and VR Days have an account here on Vimeo. This isn't YouTube, it's Vimeo. And this is a 14-minute session that was actually delivered by Caitlin and
Hello, VR Days! Welcome to Tivoli Cloud VR. And we are overjoyed to be in Amsterdam, at least virtually. We really love that city, and the conference is just the best VR conference ever. VR Days rock. And of course, we are overjoyed to introduce our social VR platform to you.
There it is. Couldn't find the pause button for a minute. Right. Okay. Well, that's it. Well, they're on screen there. Christina, there is Chaos. What's the name? The voice of she's in Sansai here, and Tivoli, and she's all over the place actually. And yeah. I've had long chats with her on various occasions. I think that's Maki, who is the partner with the other one, Caitlin here at Tivoli. Caitlin, of course, was on a panel I held at the end of the year in OpenSim, looking at these platforms. We had Tivoli, Vicadia, Sciencebase, and Ansansa, of course, all in one place. And a fine session it was too, all very collaborative, cooperating, everything else. So basically, if you go to Vimeo, this is not helpful. This is vimeo.com. You probably better following this from twitter.com Metaworld News feed. But basically, it's about 40 minutes. The full sort of session they did at VR Days. There've been extracts around before, but not the whole thing, as far as I know. Um, how do I find the right? Okay, I'll just have to leave it at that. You'll have to follow the link to get to the actual page because there's no visible URL I can give you here. And right, this again is YouTube.com this time round.
Welcome, everybody.
Okay, this is a musician called Al Hoffman, his live concert, and it's posted by somebody we know. Well, she's on our Discord channel for one thing, Rosanna Galvani, Rosanna space Galvani. This particular event happened on OpenSim's World, the Craft World. So it's really just an example of somebody performing their particular kind of music in Craft World. This particular film is long. It's about 50 minutes. It's a whole performance. And as you can see, they got a lot of visual effects. The actual avatar there is the musician performing, but they've gone overboard with their sort of displays. So even though it's still video and it's only teasing what it must have been like to actually be there, but it's rather nice video. And I have to say, I suspect that the music is a matter of taste. But it's worth sticking. It's not all the same track there, by the way, so it's sort of worth sticking with it if you can. Okay, let's check. I haven't missed anything in the text department there as I move down. Okay. Oh yeah, we've been to Vroom, Best Social VR, Immersive Zoom YouTube. What's this? This is the last one here, but there's more rating at the top. Oh,
Immersive Zoom.
right. This is weird. This is basically a YouTube. He's an artist. The Art Blue is his name. ART space BLUE, and on YouTube. And in fact, although he's formatted it a bit differently, this is literally a film of something he did at the OpenSim Community Conference last year. Again, I imagine the Avacon or the conference video will probably publish their version of this soon. But I should add, by the way, that my interview with Voices of VR is up on this channel. I put it up midweek. Basically, I couldn't wait for Avacon. And sometime in this coming week, I'll be doing the same with the panel on social worlds. Anyway, as I said, this one he's called Immersive Zoom.
Vision that is over 4,000 years old.
Lovely.
Google calls it actual reality, a reality that is indistinguishable from real life.
Robotic voice.
We call it actual virtual reality. You are getting immersed in the world as you are inside. Developed by world-leading universities and institutes, among them UCI, Berkeley, and Addis Research. We bring you in. Watch a part of the scare-engine or vision taken in the camera of one eye.
Okay, you need to watch it to get a grip of this. Basically, you can travel back in time, travel to the future, immersion at your fingertips, join Craft World. He says craft word. It's really not very good.
Craft work.
Craft word. Oh yeah, craft world. Yeah,
craft
and
work.
join
Anybody?
join hypergrid hoppers to get immersed. I'm afraid that robot voices like that drive me out the wall. I mean, I can handle them in context and for a very short period of time, but not for a whole 4 minutes of narration on this. But it is OpenSim. It is something, it's something outside the mainstream. It's posted here on Metaworld News, twitter.com Metaworld News. And now I'm running up right to the top again of my list here. These other videos I'm about to show you briefly now, make a note of where I'm telling you to go, because these aren't actually, as far as I know, I don't think any of these actually are in my Twitter feed. They're sort of they don't quite fit in any of the Twitter feeds. Well, they do, but sort of. The first one I think is actually on the Metaworld News Twitter feed. This is the latest edition of Metaworld Explorers, which happens here in Sansar.
Then just pull up your codecs and plop down a portal. Make sure you drop a portal though.
We need to get out of here before we crash.
Yeah, heard that before.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Basically, this happens once a week, and they film it. And they film it from inside VR. So it's got. I mean, it's not as wobbly as an awful lot of things that try to do this are. So pretty good. It's Zero Cheese who tweets endlessly about things happening in VR. So if you follow Twitter, you can quite often find things that are happening here in Sansar from his accounts. Although. I rarely retweet them because by the time I get round to it, the event's over. You know, it's a kind of Twitter account where he pops up and tells you something's happening. You know, when it's happening, as it were, as opposed to in advance. The YouTube account you want here is Zero Cheese, as in nothing food. Yeah, no, nothing food. Sorry. Zero space cheese. And this one, this is probably the closest thing here. It's here in Sansa, of course, not anywhere else, but it's pretty close to sort of the idea of hypergrid safari, which used to happen in OpenSim. OpenSim, of course, links had the hypergrid, which linked endless grids together, thousands of them actually. And it hopped around to different grids for different experiences once a week. This is a similar thing, but it's all happening in Sansar. It's not going to any other platform. And there's a lot of larking around and stuff going on while you're watching it too. It's pretty informal, but if you're in world and the kind of 10 one, it's probably quite fun. Well, I'm sure it is fun. And if you like that kind of thing and miss one, then you've got the weekly YouTube recording here. This recording is an hour and 7 minutes, which is I think they aim to last an hour each week, but like everything else, tends to overrun. Don't we, indeed? Okay, that's Zero Cheese's thing, and that is Sansar. Moving on, and just in case you missed it, that's the account you want. And obviously, this is the latest one too. Okay, moving on here, and I'm going to play. Well, this is 4 minutes 14, but I'm gonna play this. Okay, at least at the beginning, it's got these nice quotes and everything.
So when we talk about the metaverse, really we're talking about this duality of physical and virtual worlds, and they're merging. And science fiction like Ready Player One have done a really good job of articulating that the metaverse isn't just a destination, it's also a process of capture and control and capture of identity, of data, and of wealth by a single corporation. And there are obvious parallels with the world we see around us today, both in terms of the web generally, with platform monopolies, as well as in environments like gaming, with a handful of gaming engines dominating these markets. The metaverse isn't some far off future, it's emerging right now. And that's important because if we don't do that, if we don't understand the decisions, the design choices that we're making, we're going to sleepwalk into this dystopia. And we're going to extend a lot of the things that are already broken with the web and perhaps enhance or deepen them. If you think about VR, we're capturing entirely new data sets with AR as well, spatial data. With VR, we're capturing biometric data. So, your emotional response to visual stimuli that you're probably not even aware of. Do we really want platforms to be able to do whatever they want with that data? Now, fortunately, in parallel to what's been happening in this emergent metaverse, there is something called Web3. So there's been a decade-long experiment in Web3, starting with Bitcoin, where we've had this emergent digital economy, but one that is permissionless. So it's not owned by any one corporation or platform. Innovation can happen by anybody, and it's centered on user centricity. So the idea that the user, their privacy is central to its design, the idea that their data and their digital wealth is portable. And so you can imagine all of these things become very important when we're thinking about the metaverse that we want to see happen. So we want all of these principles that we see in Web3 and its digital economy to be brought about in the metaverse that we see around us. And as we're about to move into the next cycle of next gen hardware in spatial computing and 5G, and as this world becomes much more accessible and ubiquitous, we are going to see a metaverse of millions, soon billions over the next decade, of people entering the metaverse both to play, to socialize, and to work. And so we want to make sure that we hard code the principles of Web3 into the metaverse and make it an open one.
Okay, well, interesting. I thought that deserved a full playthrough there. If you want to find this at YouTube, the account that posted it is called Outlier Ventures. That's Outlier space Ventures, Ventures. I haven't actually subscribed to them directly because it's not as though all their content is related to the metaverse or anything else like that. But that particular piece I thought is rather good. I'm going to be keeping it around so they got something useful to play to people if needed. So as I say, go to Outlier Ventures on YouTube if you want to find that. It's 22nd of January, so it's about 5 days ago. You shouldn't have any difficulty finding it once you get to their, click on their account, so to speak. Okay, moving on. Right, we're back to actually 2 editions this week of the VR download. James's favorite show, I think. Hey, hey. Well, don't know about that.
I've enjoyed it. Yeah.
Greetings.
Yeah.
Welcome. Join us. Come in. Sit down. Have a seat. And let's talk about some VR. My name is David, and we are here with the VR download. This is Upload VR's twice a week VR podcast. This day, on Thursday, is when we talk about VR games. So all of you hardware nerds that talk about tech and computers and taking stuff apart and all the nerdy stuff, today is about the Vigi games, and that's all we care about. And I'm
So if you're into games and stuff, this is where to go to listen about it. This is well, it's just over 3/4 of an hour long, this particular podcast. And to find it, you need to go to YouTube, of course, and then look up the account Upload VR. No space there. It's sort of Upload and then the letters VR all joined together there. And as that was published on Thursday, as I said, and it's sort of looking at games and stuff. Moving on, where's it gone? Here we are. This is the other half of it, as it were.
Welcome to another episode of the VR Download, a show recorded live from the Upload Virtual Studio. So it's been a little while since I've been in the studio. Constant, wonderful improvements occurring. I'm glad everybody is enjoying the show as much as we are producing it. First news point of today is Panasonic's VR glasses adds 6 degrees of freedom and diopter adjustment. Ian, this is a headset that you have actually had on your head, or at least the 3 degree of freedom version.
Right. So they're going to talk about that and then quite a load of other things besides. It's very tempted to just let it play, but that's not what we're here for. Again, of course, this is the same account. This is simply the Monday edition, which deals with hardware. And I suspect for most of my viewers, the viewers of this show at least, it is the Monday edition here that will be of most interest. But you know, if you're into games and gaming type experiences, then obviously go and go for the Thursday edition too. So youtube.com, of course, and then the account you want is upload VVR there. Right. Okay. What have we got? Okay. This can never. This is a chat we have at OpenSim as well. Well, the web based virtual worlds. This one's called Metaverse School. It's their branded version of. Oops. Right. Okay. I'm trying to remember. Here's what's the platform we. Okay, we've had them at the OpenSync Community Conference and things. It's one of the web platforms that really try to create a virtual world on the web. There's a couple of them that look like OpenSim or Second Life for that matter, slightly more simplistic, but being on the web, they'd have to be. And this one is just, this is a branded version of one of them. It's actually called Metaverse School. And they have their own YouTube channel here. So it's simply Metaverse Space School. And yeah, you can find them at metaverse.community. And the website is metaverse.school as well. So all pretty much the same sort of thing there. Right, okay, nice little PR video for virtual worlds on the web. This one's a curious one. This is more, again, to do with hardware and the Apple Watch.
I didn't always have these powers. I used to be a normal guy. Living from day to day, just like everybody else. Never knowing when the next mistake would catch me. Then one day I went online and discovered something that changed my life forever. Band, they called it. And it already actually worked. I got it, unboxed it, and swapped out my regular Apple Watch band for the Band. Suddenly, nothing was the same. I gained powers beyond my wildest dreams. All of reality was at my fingertips. And all I had to do was make little gestures. Yeah, life is sweet. This is Band, the world's first wrist-worn brain-to-device interface. And yes, it already actually works. The Band connects to your Apple Watch. Using neural technology, it translates your finger movements into everyday control functions on your watch. By capturing subtle finger movements, the Band lets you touchlessly interact with your watch using just one hand. No needs to pause, look at the display, or engage your other hand. Setting it up is as simple as it gets. Connect your Band and watch through Bluetooth and start enjoying limitless freedom. We need your help to make the Band widely available. so that everyone could experience what it's like to have superpowers. We hope you'll join us. Thank you.
So Mal,
Okay. Well, oh, yeah.
can you hear that sound
Where?
in the background?
Oh, yes, I can. Like a little faint typing.
Like a little ticking clock?
Yeah, it's not coming from here. Oh! Oh, no. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Just a reminder, 90
Yeah,
minutes.
ladies and gentlemen. He was going to remind me on the hour, and I thought we're never going to get a show that's under an hour. So I said 90 minutes.
Yep.
And actually, this is about right today. We're nearly there.
Very good.
Yeah, but yeah. I thought there was a real problem with some ticking noise. What's this noise we got? And then suddenly it clicked what you were about to do. Oh dear, it's loud. It's loud. It makes you jump if you're not expecting it, I bet. Yeah, okay. I wonder what it's in Malmo. What was so impatient about? Okay, so Mudra I don't know what the price of that is. I wouldn't mind one.
Yeah,
I
very
like
cool.
my Apple. I
Is
like
it
my Apple Watch.
Do you suppose it's like a Kickstarter,
Yeah, well, they've got they seem to have it
They
there.
say
But
it works.
I think it is sort of they want funding help basically to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
it out to a more mass market. I mean, there are other things going on. For example, that actually simply allows you to use your fingers on one hand to control the Apple Watch. Now, I wear my Apple Watch. I love it on my left hand, but my left wrist, I mean, but my left hand is not the most dexterous, right? So I might have to change the setting on the watch to go on my right wrist and then use my right hand for the gestures, which would be more intuitive. It'd be nice to use the right hand to do the gestures and keep the watch on the left hand, but I'm not entirely sure that works. But the exciting thing about this is that this idea, right? I don't know whether at the moment all Apple do is sell expensive bands to put on your watch. Charge you an absolute fortune for something that's really just a piece of plastic with a design of some sort on it, or maybe it's a mesh or whatever. But it's you don't need 1,000 different bands for an Apple Watch, especially at their prices. But in future, I'm looking forward to the bands that really will provide the function. For example, I know you talk about your Quest headset, for example. You've got two controllers, haven't you? And as you move them, they move in the 3D space. Well, I quite like the idea that a watch on my wrist will be detectable, you know, in something like a VR environment. Not necessarily in the headset, but if I was looking at my screen in Sansar here at the moment, for example, maybe I would be able to operate my left arm by raising my left arm, which has got the watch on it, and picking up something. Like you can do in full VR. I don't know, but the idea of these extra controls, the fact that, why limit the watch to being the watch and the apps when you can use the band for a whole load of other stuff? And
right.
also the forthcoming things that have stopped me having to put my finger to get a blood glucose reading, that those things would be much more suited to the band, I think,
Yeah.
than the underneath the watch. And also I'd love to see a watch that isn't square, that was actually rectangular, along the plane of your arm, as it were, so that when you look at it, it'd be like just a very small screen in landscape format. You get quite a bit more onto the screen. It would be no less comfortable because the extra lens will be going up your arm, not across it. And it would just provide consistency with the not the size, obviously, of phones or pads, but dimensions. The what's the proportions? Proportions,
Oh,
not
okay.
the actual
Yep.
size. But yeah. Anyway, that's a bit of rabbit holing, so better forget about that one. Or
It
I'll move
seems like a
on.
natural fit for VR too. I mean, if that device would have
Yeah.
an open, an open development environment that you could, have some of those wrist actions trigger VR activities, that
Yeah.
could be really nice. Now we've seen some VR kit like that, so it's not that far off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it takes away from having to hold it in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So your hand is not encumbered by, you can do the basic movements, and you can, there's no have to stop having a controller on both arms, both wrists. I mean, as well as my Apple Watch, which is, I've got some other watches and fitness bands and things. There's one that was Sony. There's another one I've got. I never wear them anymore because with the Apple Watch, there are some of them actually. A couple of them they do actually have other features that the Apple one doesn't, but they're relatively unimportant. But I know from practice, I wouldn't be averse to having when you set up the Apple Watch, you have to choose which wrist you're going to be wearing it on
Mm-hmm.
because that's part of the configuration
Right.
process. But I certainly wouldn't be averse to having a watch or something similar, a pair of watches, as it were, that were one on each wrist that maybe provided an extra function when used together.
Yeah.
It's an obvious place to put something because it's unobtrusive. A lot of people criticised Apple when they did the watch, actually, but in fact, it was a very Apple sort of thing to do because you had the iPhone, you had the iPod, you had the iPad, you had the big iPad, you had MacBooks. All those require you to use your hands, and just even the iPhone is still something you've got to hold and use your hand. Whereas if my phone rings, I can answer it on the watch just by lifting it to my mouth. I don't actually have the phone can be over the end of the room in my travel bag.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't. So or I can answer it on the Mac desktop. I mean, it's yeah. So I'm really quite keen on wearable devices. Although I should say I mean, obviously helmets are wearables of a different ilk, but I like the small wearables. I don't like small devices. I hate my iPhone because it's too small for me to operate. I keep missing the letters on the keyboard. I'm fine on the iPad with the virtual keyboard or the add-on keyboard. It doesn't matter, but on the iPhone, it's just too small. Um, but for calls and things, it's ideal with the watch. Anyway, just before I forget, if you want to see that clip again, the poster is a site called Wearable Devices, which might be interesting to browse if you've got time. Anyway, I can't say I did. Wearable space devices. And and at YouTube. And if you want to know more about the Mundra band, you can I'm going to click on it there. Their site is mundraband.com, MUDRA dash BAND.com. And we've already seen it in action. You can apparently order it now as well. Whether it's advanced ordering or I'm not. Oh, and they were one of the best wearables in the CES. It's just finished by the look of it,
Excellent.
which is not surprising. They have been around for several months. The original PR for this was, I guess, fundraising some while ago. I love this augmented reality effect. I presume that's what it actually. Switch track, skip around, adjust volume while exercising. Neuro input. Yeah, there's the illustration of how it's doing it. Ooh, the motor nerve. Ooh, the brain. Gosh golly. Whenever you intend to move a finger, electrodes in the Mundra band capture the neural signal sent from your brain through the wrist to your fingers. So I guess it beats you to your own fingers, does it? this is interesting. Anyway, I'll let you guys out there investigate this to your heart's content. Just a couple more videos to go, and then we're over. So we'll be under 2 hours.
All
We won't
right.
need another alert, I don't think. Okay, where were we? We've done VR downloads, right? Yeah, Roan in virtual reality. What was this one? I forget what this is actually. Oh, This is Alt
Hi
VR.
everyone and welcome to Alt VR. This is the YouTube channel for virtual reality art, virtual reality meditation, any sort of application that is non-gaming that's trying to give us a new view of what it means to be human. So in this episode we're going to take a look at a piece of virtual reality art, or it's rather reality art, but it's presented through virtual reality. So we're going to take a look at the artist Roan. Now, this is a mini documentary which shows his art in a virtual reality installation as well as a 360-degree video. Now, virtual reality is really a fantastic medium to convey this art because I've seen it before in flat images and sort of the 2D versions. And
Right. Just go straight forward a bit so we can see a bit of what he's actually talking about there. Come on.
And the idea of mixing the beauty and the decay together is, I find, such an interesting juxtaposition.
Okay. Well, that interview, whatever, it's 11 minutes long, so it's not the longest to watch, but I'm not going to play it all here. The site you want is Alt VR, not to be confused with Altspace VR, by the way. It's ALT and then VR, the letters, no space in between. And that looks like it could become quite interesting, especially if he's going to keep the episodes down to about 10 or 15 minutes. He did say there, in case you missed it at the beginning while I was letting it play, that his focus is on art and the uses of virtuality, not games.
Mm-hmm.
So he could begin covering stuff that fits in rather well with what we're doing here. So that's actually is about somebody called Roan, and yeah, Alt VR is the name of the site at YouTube if you want to look it up, subscribe, or whatever. 19th of January, that was about a week ago, so it's not an old piece at all. And yeah, finally, we have another one. This is the XR show with Alan Smithson on January
Hi, my name's
18th.
Alan Smithson, and I'm going to walk you through all the cool stuff that I see on a weekly basis in XR, virtual, augmented, and mixed reality. And I'm going to call it the XR Show with Alan Smithson. This is going to be my weekly show to show everybody everything that I think is really cool and awesome in this industry. So with that, let's get started. I want to just first tell you that today is January 18th, and I'm going to be going to you live on all the different podcasts. So LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. So you can follow me on any one of those. But if you really want to subscribe, go to youtube.com and you can follow me, Alan Smithson, and let's get into the show.
And since we are there we are. Alan Smithson is his name. And it's going to be known as the XR Show. And again, from the sound of it, something that I've obviously subscribed to and will be maybe keeping an eye on. This is actually, again, it's a short show at the moment, at least. It's just 10 minutes. So I'll just scroll through it a bit to give you a flavor.
All right. So first thing I want to talk about is Artillery's Intelligence. This is a group out of the States that looks at the whole AR ecosystem and comes up with predictions and really where is this market going. My good friend Mike Boland is behind this, and he's a genius when it comes to this. So let's take it's Apple launching their glasses in 2022 and then growing dramatically. And if you notice, everything in red there is Apple. And so make sure.
And it's rumor.
Mm-hmm.
As I pointed out,
Right.
pointed out earlier. Yeah.
A good backing in China.
So oh, those are the ones I
cool
liked.
Concepts. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Lenovo's Think Reality, and what they've got here is their this a little bit more, not just in the super end cars, but
Okay, well, worthy program, so go and watch it. So I'm not going to give you sort of 10 minutes of play here. It might not be to your liking. Doesn't necessarily. It would be nice to do Metaworld Views for playing all the clips I want and to have a 24-hour show, but that's not quite our thing, is it?
That would be
Is it,
something.
Mr. Is it, Mr. Cameraman?
Right.
Right. So that actually is it. I was going to have a rabbit hole comment on that. Not so much that show or the one that I just looked at briefly before it. New shows coming up, which is great. Um, what I find a bit odd is that it's great to see these shows coming up, and they mention things like being in lockdown and COVID and everything. But how has it taken so long for some of these guys to come up with a show? When if they're on the spot with all the VR news and stuff like that, um, why didn't you'd have thought the time to have launched a show like that would have really been at the beginning of the pandemic period, where they had that chance to get in first and build their audience quickly. Um, Obviously, some did. We've got the Charlie Fink one. That's interesting. We haven't got a link for him this week.
Yeah.
Interesting. Um, that may be something to do with what's their name, the website that doesn't allow me in anymore.
Oh, Forbes. Right.
But yeah, yeah. But we covered it in the past, so you've probably the regular viewers will probably have an idea where to go for this sort of stuff. And of course, the one we were talking about earlier, which we showed you, the long one, which is now split into two, which is the VR download and stuff. And the I can't remember. Anyway, there's another one I've been featuring quite a lot recently. My mind's getting a bit unlevel-headed at the moment. Good job it's the end of the show. But my point really is that sort of since the pandemic started, some of these shows started pretty rapidly in order to produce content, online fairly immediately, and others a bit more recent. But so I just find it odd that in the space of a week I've got two new shows, which have every intention of being regular shows by the look of it. Just launching in when a year in, aren't we? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, or the more the merrier, of course. Although, of course, it's more for me to post. The I'm planning to set up another feed somewhere where I will post the videos that don't fit in the feeds I've got.
Oh,
Where it's
okay.
like the last half dozen I've been showing here. It will be. I might just make another Twitter account because I already post them to places like Discord and Slack for anybody there who's with me who wants to see them, but they're not on the Twitter feed. So um, they're also on Mastodon, which of course is the private alternative to the open source version of Twitter. Well, not version of Twitter; it's a completely different product, but it's used by people who've just fed up with Twitter, basically. A bit like MeWe is used by the people who are fed up with Facebook. And people who don't want Skype use Signal, and the new alternatives. So I have to say there's been a lot. A final point here, without going down the rabbit hole, there has been a lot of talk recently on some of the security um, insecurities of the so-called secure alternatives. People saying that, oh, if you're on MeWe, you can be spied upon. It's just not by MeWe, and if you use Signal, people can, tap into calls and things,
Right. Right.
even though it's not Signal itself doing it. And somebody even found a flaw in Telegram, which is probably the most secure of them. Given the uncensored content on it, is probably pretty damn secure. But also, of course, in the wake of the domestic terrorism in the States, the QAnons and stuff like that. Um, whereas I opened an account at Signal, for example, when a few years ago when Edward Snowden mentioned this, the fact that he uses it, to bypass the Skypes and of this world, etc. But the thing is, for every person like me that hears about that, there are obviously people like the QAnon people in America, or I don't know, some obscure fascist party in Britain, or something that might get into this. So you get, once the avenue is there and it is open, in fact, in some ways, especially if it's open, not open source, but open access, um, it's um, oh, it's as likely to be taken over by your opposition than your friends, if you see what I mean. And there is also the point that people are rebelling, you know, against the establishment or feel oppressed, do actually, even if they're in what we might consider the wrong, they have the loudest voices because they've got something to protest against. People that are fairly happy don't have loud voices. Sure, they post things like links you might want to read about the metaverse, but they don't. They don't
Right.
scream and howl in Facebook, saying tear down the establishment. But somebody who generally does want to tear down the establishment or something, then maybe do. I mean, look in the 1960s or something. When I look back on that era, I think the protest movements were the important ones because of the state of society in those days. I'm older now, but that doesn't. I mean, my head's in the same place. Actually, it's just the environment has changed. So you are of a viewpoint, and 50 years ago that was radical and protest. The same viewpoint now is conservative because the world has changed around you, and you've aged. And a new younger generation where all the rebellion is or whatever is totally new generation. If you started talking about social affairs or philosophy that you talked to your peers about 50 years ago, the kids today won't know what you're talking about, or if they do, they won't agree. That's for sure. So it's equal and opposites in the same sort of platforms. So um, I don't think it's as easy as saying get off Facebook Messenger and go to Telegram, or get off Skype and go to Signal. I think it's important actually to have all those open, but I think it's actually more a question of personal awareness, watching what's going on. I mean, I know my Twitter feed, for example, has changed within the last 3 weeks or so. The American presidency was coming to an end. Then there were the assault on the Capitol and stuff. And people who would normally just be innocuous in my feed, maybe even posting a metaverse link or something, are suddenly giving politicized opinions. And I actually don't want to hear any of them because I haven't got time to read them all. But also, there are some I'm particularly objecting to. It means that I'm unsubscribing to a Twitter feed by somebody that, when they were tweeting metaverse news and stuff like that, they didn't bother me at all. They were on topic and they were useful. But now they're bringing their personal opinions into it, and the echo chamber starts up around them. Um, I don't want to know them. And even if I agree with some other people posting on Twitter, if they're not, I subscribed to them back, 10 years ago or something when Twitter started, because I want to share news with them and I want to get their news back about the topics we were mutually interested in. What's happening in American politics, or British politics for that matter, is of no concern to that dialogue. And people who forcibly start putting that stuff into an otherwise, should I say, neutral dialogue, are really just in danger of spoiling everything, because I'm not going to read them. Whether you're on the left or the right or up the bloody creek, I'm not going to read you if you behave like that. So, rabbit hole, up we go.
Yep.
I see the little hole. There's the hole. I'm going to climb up and jump out of it, and I'm back in the studio. Goodbye, rabbit hole. Okay, James, any comment on all that from today?
No, nothing in particular, though. I was curious about one of your early stories about the Webiverse, and I'm going to have to go take a look at that because of the way that it is looking at some greater interoperability than we're trying to see some of that in Open Simulator, but it's very, very difficult to do, and so I'm going to have to go read a little bit more about that, about those efforts.
Is this the one here? What is the metaverse?
I think so. Let me bring it up so I can see it.
Yeah,
The Webiverse. The Webiverse.
Oh,
so
right.
the web-based.
Yeah. Right. I think that was somewhere.
Yeah. But I'll go to your, like any good reader, I'll go to your Twitter feed and follow up on it.
And find it. Yes.
Yep.
Why not?
Yep.
Why not? That is the answer.
All right.
Yeah. See, ladies and gentlemen, even my co-host finds my Twitter feed useful.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, my mouse has gone to sleep. I can't even see you.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Let me pause that one.
Yeah.
And if we're going to go out with anything, I'll bring that picture back up.
Okay.
Do with anything.
Nice another comment. When you were talking about Apple and their rumored, virtual reality, augmented reality, I do remember watching a broadcast on Upload VR. The VR download, and they had their video engineer, the person who designed the studio and does the recording, and he was talking about how Apple's VR software is really well positioned for augmented reality because of it has a native ability to measure a physical space and then overlay virtual reality on top of it. So I do look forward to seeing some exciting things from Apple. It's just
and
we'll see it when we see it. Yeah.
I can see the Apple Watch thing we discussed briefly there too, coming into play and that sort of thing too as a sensor. But yeah, AR, we know they're working on something AR. It's they keep everything under the radar, but the VR stuff and the idea of this giant helmet with a fan in it, it doesn't sound Apple to me. Apple would be taking things like that and condensing them and making them better workable and more compact.
Yeah.
Can you imagine wearing your Oculus Questy thing with a fan running inside it? It doesn't really compute.
In the day, I've done worse. It's all baby steps to get there, and even Apple has to make incremental steps sometimes.
Yeah, but that's when they're like really innovating. But when Apple are following the path of perfecting of devices that exist already, that's where they tend to be.
Yep.
So, but we will see. But as I said, there's so many, the rumor mill, when it's a bit like I was just talking about opinions on Twitter. I mean, when the rumor mill starts being peddled as news, you have to be careful. It'd be so easy for me to have half read that sort of thing and thought, oh God, Apple have finally got the next year release date or whatever, and it would have been total bullshit, and then I'd probably got the flat for saying, didn't you?
Well, that approaches a much larger social dilemma that we have.
It is indeed, yeah. Okay, well, talking of dilemmas, we will actually endeavour to finish. Oh no, we won't. We will make 2 hours, won't we? I think.
Yep.
Because we started about okay, so we're
have
down from 3. We're down from 3 hours to 2.
We have 2 minutes to finish if you want to beat 2 hours.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, it's time for us to go, everybody. Let's see. We talk about XR, we talk about MR, we talk about AR, we talk about all that stuff because we
are.
Indeed. And we will be as well. Here, same time, same place next week. My thank you to James for all the tech assistance and accompaniment and sound effects and everything else. And thanks to me for being me. And stay safe, everybody. Have a good week. And we will return in 7 days' time. And that's it. Bye for now.